I am alive. I just gotta get the link real quick. There is something funny that I want to say before we get into it, though. Well, it's funny to me. I'm not sure if it'll be funny to anyone else. So, one second. I gotta go. There is it. There it is. There. Paste. Discord. Paste. 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 What is my fiance saying to me? Then the total of streaming. Minimize OBS. There we go. So, the funny thing that I want to say before we get into it. Hi, lady. So my fiance, they have work, right? And they were getting up, they were getting ready. I got up as well so that way I could prepare and so that way I could be awake for my stream, and that way I could say goodbye to them. For context, where I am, there's like winter and stuff, and it can get really dry here sometimes. And, we don't have a humidifier, so it's probably a lot drier than I had initially thought. And my fiance had decided to, like, playfully pinch my nose, right? My nose starts bleeding. And I was shocked because I haven't had a nosebleed in a long while, because for a long while I had lived with my parents, and my parents had a humidifier, so that way we wouldn't have nosebleeds and stuff like that. I'm fine now. I'm no longer bleeding out of my nose and stuff. That got resolved before I got ready for my stream and all that, but it was just funny to me. My eye. Yeah, that's how my morning's been. So we're gonna continue with Roottreemania. Figure all that stuff out. Because I know that there was a lot of stuff that we needed to read. Like, we need to collect faces and whatnot. Oh, there's even... excuse me. There's even the reflection of the guy, in here. Miracle Roottrie appeared on the cover of News Times shortly after 5Ps did. He vehemently denied that 5Ps was a Roottree. This article was from before the DNA test that proved it. Hold on, let me just get the microphone real close. Miracle doesn't focus much on the details of 5P's accusations regarding his mother and Guy Hudson. Instead, he comes across as exhausted at the events that have been going on behind the scenes, as well as the character of those that he feels are attacking his family. He starts with 6 pieces content. He says that although most of the book was based in fact, it left out anything that wouldn't fit the agenda. What agenda? Like... He points out Sam's daughter still earns a generous salary for overseeing the farm division of Roottree, and that Sam did the same before her. That Sam's family was not destitute, and that really it was only her son who chose to take on a job with no salary. He claims that though they didn't have to, the family helped pay for her son's medical bills after voting that it was the right thing to do. Miracle also says that the story about his father, Elias, shunning EC was one-sided, leaving out Edward Clancy's blame in the whole thing. For being gay? Elias gave him a simple ultimatum: stop sinning or be disowned. Jesus. Miracle says it was EC's own choice and that Elias allowing him to earn food and shelter on the company's dime was a kindness, especially considering that he and John continued to live together. You homophobic piece of shit. Anyway. Miracle then pivots to the fallout from 6 Pieces. He recounts a deluge of claims to the Clancy Trust that the family had been subjected to. He doesn't cite any specifics, but says that every time someone comes forward, the family devolves to arguments. They've had to hire an outside legal team for help, but so far every case has been demonstrably, laughably false. All they do is tarnish his family's reputation. He focuses on 5Ps, who appeared on news time before him. He calls him a grifter and a delinquent and says he's using their name and products to sell filth to the masses. All of the accusations, he says, this is the most dangerous because it exposes the world to hatred. He cites 5P's lyrics as violent, sexist, and ungodly and prays the boy will repent, retract his lies, and find religion. Shut up! Just shut up! I'm getting tired of this man. Lastly, he turns to the future. Miracle states that those that wish to hear the full true story can join him on his farewell tour this upcoming fall. The Miracle's Roottrees are planning on touring the country's churches one last time, and that now at age 71, Miracle is the oldest living Roottree. While he plans to continue preaching at his own church in Butler County after the tour, this is your last chance to hear the truth from the man with the most complete recollection of one of America's most notable families in your own hometown. Shut up! Good, this is the last paragraph on this man. The article mentions that Miracle's son, Miracle Jr., did not wish to comment, and has a statement from Clark Rafferty LaRue through the Rootrees law firm. Miracle does not speak for his entire family. We're working carefully on a plan to definitively disprove any claims of infidelity in our family's past. The article also does not refute Miracle's claim that he's the oldest living Rootree, despite Sam Madsen being born the year before him. It was unclear if Miracle made the claim out of ignorance or spite. This is a statue in front of the Miami Print Museum, formerly the Bocadoro Library, north of Miami. It sits in the courtyard, and according to their site, it is said to be of an unknown author. The rapper 5Ps appeared on the cover of News Time holding this Polaroid of his mother, Joanna, when she was Zach Morden's secretary at a company picnic. He claims that Joanna and Guy Hudson, also in the photo, were having an affair that led to his birth. What does that say? Roottrees Park... something. That was Guy Hudson. He's like way up here, isn't he? It certainly looked like him. Let's see. It's founded in 1908. Trying to figure out years and stuff. Because there's like no years and shit for this. There's like new photos. Clark. What is the other one? Clark. Chris. Zachary. That's it. Odd. This one has an extra picture. That one has an extra picture. So does that one. That one has 3. Oh yeah, wasn't there one where like someone was sleeping around? Hold on. What was the one where he was sleeping around? It wasn't this one. Oh wait, was it Clark? I think it was Clark. That Elias may have also cheated on Gwyneth. So we know that this 2021 one... Oh wait, I don't have a picture for it. God damn it. I think it was Clark that was sleeping around. Right? Blah blah blah. Novel Roottrees such as Warm, Miracle, Jim. Blah blah blah. Did we look up Guy Hudson? Guy Hudson, who was only president of Roottrees for a few years in the late 70s and early 80s. Sabi this guy, right? But then Clark was... But... So is this Clark or is it Guy? Hold on. Mostly faded to obscurity, except for the fancy flavors debacle. Goes to prominence again. Blah blah blah. Let's look through history. Fuck. I honestly forgot like where we left off with like what we needed to look into. Maybe look up Edward Clancy. Edward Clancy. Nope. Farewell tour? Zachariah Morton's secretary. She was seen with Guy Hudson. Joanna. What was her surname? So would it be Joanna Fellows? Did I spell that right? I should copy that. And then Joanna. Okay, so I did spell it right. And nothing. Got it. Love that for me. The Roottrees Rift. Did we look that up? This doesn't look familiar, so I'm gonna read it. The 3 press releases from the Roottrees Candy Company after the release of 6 pieces was referred to as the Roottree Rift due to the clear conflicts between them. The first was fairly standard. It stated that there was no president of the Roottree Company, but that the entire family was made aware of the release of the book and that they would be meeting as soon as possible. Only then could they verify the legitimacy of the claims raised and decide next steps. The second release was emailed to business newspapers 3 hours later and announced that after a vote, Ron Roottree would be taking over temporarily as an interim president. It also went on to state that Ron was aware of the book, had verified the claims within, and would look into compensating Mrs. Madsen and her family immediately. It also stated the company lawyers would be taking immediate steps with the family to revisit the Clancy Trust's terms to make sure nothing like this could happen again. It was quickly clear to business reporters and analysts that the time between the 2 press releases would not have been logistically sufficient to gather a majority of the family, even using conference calls. This was reported on many news channels, and a third, much shorter press release came the next day. It claimed that the draft of the announcement was made prematurely and that Clark Rafferty LaRoe and Ron Roottree would be taking over as the company's first joint presidents. It also stated that any compensation planned would be based on a stringent verification process. Look up Ron Roottree. Huh. Ron was announced as president of Roottree during the Roottree Rift, but the next press release immediately reversed the announcement and instead stated that Ron and Clark would take over. A few weeks later, Ron was dropped from the title entirely. There are hundreds of results about this development, but most articles are retelling of basic details. Some veer into heavy speculation based on an article about Ron in Business Watch. Ron has also done some interviews saying the truth of what went on behind the scenes is not something he wishes to discuss. Instead, he hopes to release a movie about it someday. 3 weeks ago, Ron's mother, Gwen, died in Paris, France. He and his brother Robbie have seemingly made amends. Okay. So, Business Watch. Ron. Give me your shit. Business Watch ran an article about 2 months after Roottreee riffed about what actually happened with Roottreee. The article mentions that nobody from Roottreee that they reached out to was willing to go on the record. Instead, the timeline of events has been constructed from public record, accidental leaks, and a source on the inside. The only parts that are new to you are also the most vague parts, the ones supposedly confirmed by their anonymous source. The timeline says that the family actually held a preliminary vote after Carl Roottree died, but before the release of 6 pieces, and decided they wanted Ron Roottree to take over because of his experience running RR Productions, and because he was a well-known and well-respected Roottree. This one has a gold star. The only notable one. So, ooh! Fellows. Felix. He is a musician. Fidelity. Then it was hello? Oh wait, no. So this would be Hudson. So this would be Joanna. Fellows, where'd it go? She was a secretary. Assuming he's also Fellows, but we don't know who she's married to. Or I guess got divorced with. Oh wait, yes we do, right? Didn't it say in the thing? Where'd it go? Blah blah blah. Another guy Hudson, blah blah blah. His mother, Joanna, was that board secretary when he retired. Then Guy Hudson, secretary for only 1 or 2 weeks after that before she quit. His parents divorced when he was 4, after his father learned the affair. So it doesn't say the name of the dad. Fuck. Oh. Fellows was born to Riley and Joanna Fellows, but has never left without a moniker. So it'd be Riley. Right? That seems right. So Guy Hudson was fucking around and he was married. Yeah, he was married to Patricia. Also, methinks that the reason why Miracle is, like, gotta stick up his ass is because he's also trying to cover up his own infidelity. Because that's a lot of cases where, like, someone's done something wrong. If someone's done, like, the exact same thing, they like to project, being like, oh, you are scum of the earth because you did this, and then, even though they did the exact same thing, and they feel guilty about it. But I don't know. They like to act high and mighty when they are not. But I don't really know where to go from this. Ducky, help. The results page for all Root of All Evil mentioned a song. Did it? All your problems. Oh. This track is the only new song on the album. The subject matter of the song is the hypocrisy of those that claim money is evil. He points out that the only people who think money is evil are those that have it, those that can afford not to be greedy. In the song, 5Ps triumphantly talks about taking the Roottrees' wealth due to it being his birthright and giving it to those who need it most. You find a copy of the song on a suspicious-looking website and download it for your records. So see, that's exactly what I was talking about. I think he's talking about Miracle. 'Cause he's doing tours and shit. This is the only single for 5P's album, A Root of All Evil. It received some airplay, but didn't make a big splash critically or commercially. Still, it's kinda catchy. So there's definitely gotta be hints in this, right? Because it didn't say, like, there's no relevance in this, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, he's like directly like talking about Miracle. Ducky, help. You found a lot of important information in your last investigation. Now that some time has passed, it's worth looking to some of it again. Yeah, I know that, but like, what did I already look up? Is my problem. Hi, Ma. There are a large number of Roottreemania restaurants, not because it's a chain, just because it seems to be a common name for Italian restaurants. You need to use a more local resource if you're going to look for a specific one. He worked as one of Guy's secretaries. Loved quickly due to her pregnancy. Elizabeth and Donnelly? Nope. Probably like Antonelli. Tonelli is an Italian restaurant and has been in the Butler County Times twice. The most recent time was when it closed in 1992. The owner, Rochelle Zimmer, sold the land the building was on, and at the time of the article, she was unsure if the restaurant would move to a new location or if she would retire. I gotta look her up. Many years before that, there's a puff piece from Valentine's Day in 1978. Oh, that's kind of convenient timing, because, in 3 days it's gonna be Valentine's Day. I asked recently married residents of Butler County how they met. Christine Garland responded. She and her husband Steve, who was a chef at Tonelli, met years ago when she delivered produce from her mother's farm. Steve used to work extra hours just to be there during her deliveries. Although they grew apart when the restaurant switched suppliers, they reconnected by chance and eloped at the end of last year. Now she has a bun in the oven, and they're both working as much as they can. She's a secretary but went back to delivering produce on the weekends, trying to save up money to move to Boston and open their own restaurant. There seems to be a lot of hanky-panky going on with secretaries with the Roottrees, so I'm not so sure if that's Steve's. Let's look up Rochelle Zimmer. Nope. Christine and Garland? Nope. Steve Garland. Well, that was completely useless. Because, yeah, what was the point of this? I got nothing. Ducky, you led me astray. Reminders and evidence goes over the most important people and events from the last investigation. Is that not what I was supposed to look at for that? Oh, let's quickly do the pregnancy. So, Elizabeth Garland? I'm not sure what to look up. One of the people mentioned your reminders. Oh, I wasn't even looking at slide 1. Caroline Matt Morgan. She seems like someone who would have spoken up about everything that's going on. Oh yeah, because after the re-release. Oh, not re-release. After the release of 6 Pieces, Caroline Morden did a television interview. Someone has uploaded a partial transcript of that interview on the television section of a message community. The transcript is only her answers and is missing the questions. This creates a somewhat confusing reading experience, but does give you a bit more history about Caroline and some of her family members. This was a cable news interview. A transcript of only Caroline's answers has been posted on a site about television. Thanks for having me. I've never really fit into the family, so it didn't surprise me. She could have put me in if she wanted to talk about the time during my activism days, when I almost got arrested for stealing the spark plugs out of all her tractors, but I don't really think it fit her narrative. Yes and no, they never tried to kick me out or send me to live on a farm, if that's what you mean. But I was already pretty unpopular, and once everyone learned why I divorced my husband, few people paid me any attention. She's my wife. Not legally, but we've been together for half our lives. Call it what it is. I was 20 and had just had my daughter. I hate to look back on that time because I was a terrible mother in the first few years. I left my daughter with my ex-husband and followed Guy on a private jet to Europe. He lost a tooth and a client. I found love and a better understanding of who I was. Still, in our family's eyes, his trip was somehow more acceptable? Explain that. No, I couldn't stand him. Our family wrote off his behavior like he was some huge fan of romance or women. But he didn't like the entire woman. It was doubly awkward for me because he was more supportive than most. I slowly figured out it was because he assumed I would be as shallow as he was. This was Caroline. She followed Guy on an airplane. So yeah, I think that was just more confirmation that Guy was like the one that was sleeping around and didn't really care much. Oh, so this is like first to last. Good to know. So I should probably look up Stephanie Landon then. No. Maybe Stephanie Jones because they got married. Ooh. It seems Brian Jones has been busy updating Stephanie Jones's campaign website. 2 new sections exist. The first is a baby photo. There you see a picture of their new family together in the hospital. According to the site, our daughter was named after her grandmother, which ended up being very fitting considering she was born the night before Christmas. The second is what's next. There's not much of substance there right now, but it lists some small accomplishments and finishes with the recent rise in popularity and controversy surrounding my extended family, there has been some extra attention on me. Stay tuned for announcements in the coming months about how I plan to use this publicity to accomplish bigger and better things. Okay. But now we know a hint of her name, because it would be the name of her grandmother and their last name. So they're the ones that are like over here. Stephanie Landon, Brian. What was her occupation? She was into politics. Baby. Occupation is baby. Her grandmother. Clara. Or would it be after her grandmother? Wait a minute. our daughter was named after her grandmother. So is it after Stephanie's grandmother or the baby's grandmother? So last name would be Jones. Her first name is either Clara. It would be Carol, right? Oh, because that's why she's like named like the night before Christmas, because Christmas Carol. Gotcha. He was the third president? Yeah, he was the third president. Found a lot of important information in your last investigation. Blah blah blah. Reminders. Lauren was your best source of information in the last investigation. Maybe she can help us again. But no, she was like getting. By a reporter. But what paper would that even be for? Oh wait, has been updated for at least 8 months and now be irrelevant. Okay. Just checking all of these, because it did say that a reporter was chasing her. Ducky, have you failed me? It's possible that her diary has the information for you now that you have a different focus. Oh. Copy. Yes. When revisiting Lauren's book, there's a single passage that focuses on potential affairs in her immediate family. Ooh! An entry entitled Cruelty from Lauren's Roottrees diary, written in 1963. It focuses on the relationship between her mother and father. While it offered only redundant information during your previous investigation, it mentions the subject of affairs. It may be more useful this time around. I am no stranger to true love. Jacob and I married at an age that most deem unfit for marriage, but he was also enlisting at an age that most deem unfit for war. We had no choice. I knew in my heart that our marriage was one for the ages. He and I would still be together today if not for Okinawa. That was nearly 20 years ago, but there is an emptiness in my soul. I do not understand my contemporaries. So many girls I went to school with have taken multiple lovers. So many of my girlfriends' husbands have been unfaithful. If I am able to remain true to the ghost of a man with no chance of physical reciprocation, no potential for long conversation, how could it be so hard to love someone you can reach out and touch, someone you can joke with? I have not had to deal with such madness at home. My parents are a perfect match in the worst way. My mother's cruelty is a perfect fit for my father's general spite. In turn, Pop's status enables her incessant need to gloat and feel superior. I have grown up with their cruelty and disdain for others my entire life. Even my family remains unspared. They make fun of my grandpa and his family, saying, "This blood is thicker than syrup, but nothing's thicker than Elias." Damn. They mimic Grandma Gwyneth's lisp and see her kindness as a weakness. Elias, please remember Tham. Oh god. Not even our family's maladies and religion going on. Remember, God only put one eye in miracle. I can say without a doubt in my mind that my parents have never had eyes for anyone outside their marriage. They're too self-centered to look astray. Damn. Who are her parents? Clancy and Sarah. But Gwyneth had a list. That's cute. Why are they mocking that though? So does that mean that they weren't having an affair, or does that mean that they were having all of the affairs, is my question. Because just because she didn't suspect anything doesn't mean that it wasn't happening. Oh, excuse me. So this would be the one that could potentially be between Elias and Gwyneth. This is 1949. So maybe it happened between them? I don't know. Ducky? Whoops. No. Reminders. Someone had a very useful website in the last investigation. I wonder if it's been updated. Someone. It was Brian, I think. But like... Ducky, I'm a little stupid. That person, it was Chris Rafferty. You found him using his email. Oh yeah, what was his email? Chris Rafferty's Prodigy sites seem to have been discovered by the masses. Gone are the art pictures of his cousins. Instead, it's a list of questions that people kept emailing him. The most relevant ones are the following. Are you the son of Clark Rafferty? Yes, but I didn't grow up with him. I remember him from when I was a little kid and I moved away with my mom when I was very young. We left Pennsylvania and moved back home to Virginia. We lived there with Pete, my stepdad. My dad and I spoke a few times when I found his phone number on a check he sent us in the mail when I was 15. He was happy to hear from me, and now he calls me once a month and came to visit me at college. He tells me about things I don't remember and people like Guy Hudson and Ernie Madsen. My dad and I got along, but obviously we weren't very close. Did you ever meet the Roottrees? I used to know the Roottrees, but never the sisters. I was in the office sometimes when I was a kid, and I definitely met Guy Hudson before he died, but I don't remember. My memory is weird. It's hard to know what I actually remember and what I only think I do because I have pictures. For example, I have a photo from when I was 5 and in the office with my dad and Guy was there. I made myself sick by eating chocolate, so a woman I don't know cleaned my face. I don't know if my memories of that come from the picture or not. The photo is an empty or evidence. How did you have proof of Ernie Madsen's heart condition? I knew Ernie had a heart problem because my dad told me on one of our phone calls. I asked him about the poison because I saw it on the Roottreee Curse website, and he emailed some old stuff including the proof, and even with the proof the website didn't take it down. You spelled fiance wrong. I'm not good at spelling or writing, I've noticed. I'm good at painting and other art. I'm going to school to learn how to edit movies. I want to make cartoons someday. Lulu's much better at spelling. Show me that picture. Give me all the pictures. This photo was on Chris Rafferty's website. According to Chris, it's a photo of him, his father, and Guy Hudson. While they were distracted, he snuck into a supply of chocolate they kept for visitors and tours. Chris Rafferty did not know who the photo was. There's your extra picture. Because I'm trying to see, like, is Clark the stepdad? And Chris just doesn't know. That he just, like, came back or something. That lady could be like another secretary or something. Cause I don't recognize that woman either. Ah, no. Ducky. Found a lot of information, reminders. Book about Elias Roottrees was mentioned. Oh yeah. I just didn't think that I should look into it because it was a bunch of propaganda slop. Family man. Hold on, let me just look up Elias Roottrees so that I can get the full title. Bess Williams. Written by Bess Williams. Yeah. Copy. To the library. To Bess Williams. Aha! A reprinting an old book about Elias Roottree. It's bland corporate propaganda. I'm gonna read this swab. The dictionary defines propaganda as information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. But if they were to replace that definition with a picture, it would be a picture of this book. The book tells you nothing new about Elias, and from what you know of his true feelings towards some of his extended family, you're not sure if it tells you anything true about Elias either. The reissue of this book was so lazy that they reused the famous photo of Elias from Business Watch, whose copyright had expired. The best thing it has going for it is that it's only 85 pages long. Does that mean I gotta relook at Elias's entry from Business Watch? Elias Roottree. Nope. What do I need with this? Just to have his picture to show that he was having an affair? He was the first president. Oh! He was cheating on his wife.
Has Clark reached out to you? Well, let me give you a short history lesson about the last few months of my life. 3 different people contacted me, claiming that somewhere in their history, they might be Roottrees. First, that young man, the rapper. I ignored that one. He seemed dubious. But then I saw the news. I felt terrible. So I began helping the others. Because my doubts with Felix were so misfounded, I ended up putting too much faith in the second person that approached me. I went to the media prematurely. I admit my mistake there. But the third person who contacted me also had a credible case. Before I could help, the company got to them somehow. The fact that the family silenced them doesn't seem to fill me with hope when it comes to Clark's intentions. But you're making progress based on the leads he gave you. It's really hard for me to get a read on him. I'll let you handle it. I've sent you the case I've been working on, and some company records I managed to track down.
Ooh! Confidential evidence.
The records are quite dense, but hopefully they're useful. Good luck.
Read this shit. You're given some partial staff records to cross-reference by Sam Madsen. These records are based on old tax filing information and only detail the employees that worked directly for Roottree or in their corporate office, because apparently all of the secretaries were getting hanky-panky. The many laborers on their farms and their factories are not listed. You're not sure how helpful it will be, except for cross-referencing Guy's secretaries and visits overseas. Spider searching people just because they are listed in these books will likely be very time-consuming and a waste of your time, where I'm gonna do it anyway. President Zach Morgan, Special Management Ernest Manson Jr., Edward Roottree, Lloyd Carpenter, Carol Monroe, Elizabeth Craven. Ooh, Elizabeth! Elizabeth! Fuck. I remembered that there was... Eli C. Roottree, Fred Cross, Albert Cross, and Douglas Rosenberg. Oh, secretaries. Joanna Robertson. Oh, that would be like her birth name. That would be the thing that I would need. Robertson. Let's go. Samantha Madsen, John Miller, Elizabeth Farrow, Thomas Green, Fred Gleason, Stuart Todd, Sam Harmon, Robert Logan, Michael Crane, Jack Creedings. Major expenses, none. I sincerely doubt it. 1977, it was announced that Zach would be retiring and Guy would be taking over at the start of 1978. They held a retirement party in November before spending the final month working in the transition. During 1976 and 1977, blah blah blah. Guy Hudson has replaced Ernest Madsen Jr., blah blah blah. Patrick Decker was hired. Eli C. Roottrees is no longer employed by Roottrees. Ernest Madsen Jr. is now listed under product management. Christine Farrow was hired. Oh, because Christine and Elizabeth were the ones that were being a whole thing with the pregnancy and whatnot, the swingers party. Gotcha. Hold on, I gotta write this down. Because she was only named Glandon, or whatever the fuck his surname was, because she got married. Gotcha. Farrow. For Christine and Elizabeth. Got it. Joanna Robinson is no longer listed amongst the secretaries, but Joanna Fellows has been added to the list. Yeah, because she got married to, what's his name, Fellows. Joanna Fellows and Beth Knox are no longer employed by Roottrees. Beth Knox. Wasn't there a Beth? Because it might not have been short for Elizabeth. It could have just been Beth Knox, right? Christine Farrow is no longer listed amongst the secretaries, but a Christine Garland was hired. Yeah, because she got married. John Miller is no longer employed by Roottrees. I wonder why. Gwyneth Madsen was hired. Beth Knox 50-year work anniversary bonus. It is Beth Knox! I was right! Give me that shit. Let me look her up. Nope. Where did you go? Yes, you. Beth. Beth Knox. Because it's not Elizabeth. It's just Beth. Secretary. How the hell do I get a picture of you? Took over. Replaces Zachary. Bradford Jones. Blah blah blah. I'll try to take a better look at this later. There's a lot of expenses going on. I actually want to do like the math of this later. But I'll take a look at that later. Ooh. 6 pieces at prodigy.us to genealogy genie at prodigy.us. This is all the information I have about Regina Clementine de Salazar from New Orleans, Louisiana, and her husband Stuart Clementine. She wrote me about a month ago. Apparently the Roottree lawyers went after her since then. By the time I received her letter and called her, she told me she couldn't cooperate anymore. Her husband, who was a police officer and never knew his father, told her he thought he might be a Roottree, but he is estranged from his family and didn't want to pursue it because he had no proof. She wrote to me behind his back. Normally I wouldn't be so sure, but she had some pretty credible facts. Excuse me. Some of it I have been able to confirm. Stewart's mother was named Mary Beth Clementine. She was pretty well known in the 30s and 50s, a singer who went on tour to a lot of churches. You can look her up online, and she was a pretty big proponent of adoption. I'll look into that in a second, but it's up there. I know for a fact that she came to Butler County a few times. I remember her from when I was younger, and Regina said that Stewart told her that they always seemed to spend a lot of time at the Miracle Church. She sent me a photo to prove that she is who she says she is. I've attached it to this email. Sam Madsen, 6 Pieces, Unwrapping America's Sweetest Family is out now. Please consider saving a tree and not praying this email. Well, that's... Anyway, Mary Beth Clementine was a singer most popular in the years between 1942 and 1959. She traveled around the country performing at churches. Her repertoire was a mix of religious and popular songs, and although she recorded a few records, they seem lost to time. The only one you can find mentioned was a cover of He's Got the Whole World in His Hands, released under the label New Edison. I'm gonna have to look into that. One thing Mary Beth was known for was her adoptions. She's listed on many sites that mention adoption and the history of adoption. She adopted 2 children in the late 1940s, Stuart and Mark. She also spoke as an advocate for the benefits of adoption in front of the United States Congress in 1949, who were convening to discuss the then recent first adoption of an African-American child to a white family in the United States. She was specifically there to detail her experience going through the system to adopt Stewart. Her other son was adopted later, and according to a single line in one adoption site, under unusual circumstances. Oh? In 1959, in service, the Mary Beth had been divorced twice, both times to her manager Sterling. This ended her career with the religious audience she had been catering to, and while she performed occasionally since then, she mostly faded to obscurity. Mary Beth passed away in 1994 at the age of 76 of a stroke. New Edison was a small record label based on Los Angeles that existed for a few years in the 1940s. It raced to release cover records of songs that were gaining popularity. According to a website about the history of recorded sound, it was named after its founder, Sterling Edison. Its biggest claim to fame is being sued by the estate of Thomas Edison and Edison Records v. Edsel. You'll also find a few references to New Edison and Mary Beth Clementine on sites about old records. One collector says that the Holy Grail is a re-release of The Old Rugged Cross, and says that the first edition was originally published before she legally changed her name. Another site claims that the police had to be called to New Edison Records after its owner, Sterling Edison, got in a physical altercation in public, leading to a divorce. There are no site sources or evidence. The site's content seems user-submitted. There's an email address at the bottom of the phrase, "Send me your stories about old Hollywood, and I'll add them to the page." Sterling Edison. Nope, okay. My throat's starting to hurt a bit. Hold on. Because I had a bit of a drink left. Oh, but my throat still hurts a bit. Ooh. Give me all your pictures. This photo was given to you by Sam Madsen. A woman named Regina Clementine came to her and claimed that her husband has confessed he thinks he's a Roottrie. The details of this case can be found in your evidence. Stewart is the older boy wearing a vest. The woman in the photo is Mary Beth Clementine, a singer who may have had an affair with Miracle Roottree. I fucking knew it. I knew it. That's why Sterling had a whole thing, because he found out that she was having an affair. Miracle, get your ass over here. Miracle. Come on. Miracle. He was a pastor. He was a preacher. Yes. Mary Beth. Mary Beth Clementine. She was both a preacher and a musician, but she was primarily a musician. She was with Sterling Edison. That'd be him, right? Or is that Miracle? He's the older one, he's the younger one. So he would be Stuart Clementine. This would be Mark Clementine. Mark. And he was married to who? Regina. So Regina. It was. Where was it? It was Salazar. Because that's her maiden name. About Mark Clementine. But I think we got, like, even though it's like not necessarily big in the grand scheme of things, I think that's like a decent chunk of progress. I know this would be Edison, right? Yeah, it would be. She's got brown hair and Miracle had blonde. Yeah. Yeah, because... Oh, wait, no, they were adopted. Unless the whole adoption thing was a cover-up for the affair. Right? Right? Anyway, I think that's a good place to call it. Because, again, my throat is hurting. So thank you everyone who came to the stream. I really appreciate it. On Friday, we will have a Murder on the Onsei River stream, hopefully, if a lack of sleep doesn't get in the way. Then on Monday, we will be going back to playing Party Hard. And then next Wednesday, we will continue with Roottreemania. I have nothing else to say, so that will be it. I will no longer really delay, because I need my voice to rest. I will see you guys on Friday. Bye!